Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Study Time with State. I'm your host, Megan O'Keefe, and for our last and final podcast episode today, I will be interviewing none other than myself. I'm going to go through and answer my own questions and let you all know how I feel about my favorite study spots here in Penn State and what I like and what I don't like. So for question number 1, what's your go-to study spot on campus and why? So for me personally, my go-to study spot on campus is the stacks in the library. I truly enjoy having nobody bother me while I'm studying. I can put my headphones in, turn on my computer. Preferably I choose a spot that, has like a little outlet near it. And I sit there for hours upon hours and I can get all of my work done in just one study session for the whole week. And I truly enjoy the closed confinements of the stacks and where I don't have to see and engage with other people. So going off of that, for question number 2, do you prefer quiet or a more, hustling environment? I prefer quiet. I have learned that I cannot get studying done in a loud environment. I get way too distracted way too easily. And then I start to people watch, where I end up watching what everyone else is doing instead of doing my own work that I need to be doing. Which campus location is most underrated for studying and what makes it so effective? I'm going to have 2 different answers for this. So in the summer, I truly love sitting out at the Arboretum on a little blanket and by myself, far away from everyone, and just sit there and get all my work done. I love the scenery. I love the warm weather. I really enjoy that. And for the winter time, I actually enjoy the Earth and Mineral Sciences Library. They have their own cubicles you can rent out, and I adore getting a cubicle and sitting in there with the whiteboard and just going to town on my work. It's a really helpful experience to have. What's the worst study spot that you've tried and what made it such a bad experience? I'm going to say for me personally, number 1 is the hub. I cannot focus. I try to get my work done, but it just doesn't work out with so many people around. And then going off of that, I'm going to say the Starbucks and the study spot next to the Starbucks in the library. I went there a couple times for a few study sessions to eat some food and to get some work done, and it was insane. I couldn't get my work done there. It was too much for me to really sit and focus. How does the availability of resources like Wi-Fi outlets or food impact your choice of study spot? So I'm going to say for me, Wi-Fi is not as big of a deal because I have a hotspot on my phone so I can really go anywhere, but outlets are the most important thing. If I'm going to go to a study session, I make sure my stuff is charged, but sometimes I'm there from who knows, 10 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and I use my battery up. So sitting in the stacks and having someplace like an outlet to plug my stuff in really is super important to me. And food is important too, but also at the same time, I feel like I bring my own food. I'll pack like a little snack and a drink to have while I'm studying. So, it's nice that if I get hungry again later on when I'm studying, that I can go down or go somewhere and grab some food. My favorite time of day to study is, I'm going to say, evening. So not too late, like past, I would say 9 o'clock for me is a little too late because then I don't really retain the information. But from about 4 to 5 to 8 o'clock at night is my peak hours when my brain is, ready to go and is taking in that information. That, or if I'm in between classes and I don't have enough time to walk back, I go and sit in the library, and for some reason I can really, if I'm already up and going and I'm going to classes, then it's easier for me to continue that and then sit down and get some work done there. What role does ambiance, which is lighting, seating, temperature, play in how well you study? Ambiance plays a massive role in how I study. I know I like the stacks. I know their lighting isn't the best. I know their chairs aren't the best, but I bring a blanket, and then I go at times where, it's a little bit darker outside so I can look outside and see people walking around. If I'm, need a little break, I can just stare at the cars passing and then refocus myself back in. But I love bringing a blanket with me because, sometimes it can get cold, sometimes it's hot, especially in the winter, it's a little bit colder. So bringing a nice blanket and getting comfortable and situated is super important to really focus yourself on your studies. Have you ever discovered a place on campus that you thought would be terrible but turned out to be a great spot? I am going to say maybe not a great spot for me, but a spot I did end up liking was the business building. I'd only been there a handful of times, and, each time it was a little different, but I went later on at night, so it was really easy to focus on my work and focus on what I had to get done, especially at nighttime when there was less people there. But I know that during the day, the business building gets super packed. So I wouldn't say it was a great place, but I thought it was going to be a lot worse than when I decided to go. How does campus culture affect the way students use study spots? For example, do you like to study with a group or by yourself? So for me personally, when it's a group study session, I definitely don't get as much work done. I end up chit-chatting with my girlfriends and we lose track of time, and then we don't really pay attention to our work. But for group assignments, I think that helps me a lot more than studying or going by myself and doing that. Just talking with a person one-on-one to know more about what we have to do for our project is a lot more beneficial than over the phone or anything. But if it's just me by myself, I'm going alone, nobody else all day, every day, because it's just so much easier to focus. As someone who has ADHD, it's really difficult to get work done when there's other people around you and conversations are happening. So I definitely prefer solo studying. And what I think the most common mistake students make when choosing a study spot is I think students don't take into account their own personal preferences. I think that if you like a hustling environment, go to the hub, sit there, get your work done. But if you like quiet, you have to find those more secluded spots. Don't go off of what your friend says, because they might have a different study environment than you do. And, it's all about figuring out, especially freshman year, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And that showed for me as well, because I studied in the hub my freshman year for my first exam, and I didn't do so well on my first exam. But after learning what I like and what I don't like, all of my exams have been great, and I found my spot, and I found what it takes to make me motivated and focused when I'm studying. So thank you all for coming on this journey with me. It's been a great, couple weeks of podcast talking. And, maybe, who knows, if this does good, we'll do a full podcast on all things Penn State. But thank you for coming along with the ride, everyone. And I hope you all had a great semester, and happy holidays.